Okay, excellent. Welcome everyone to the meeting, to another meeting. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to another meeting of the Mad Hares. I am Countess Rose, and I am joined by Grumpy Cobalt
Hello.
and Rusty Helm.
Hey y'all.
Welcome to our lurkers, both in call and online. I hope everyone has had a wonderful weekend. We are starting a new book today, The Two Towers. The Lord of the Rings, the second book, The Two Towers. For our YouTube people, I'm sorry, you're going to have to jump over to Spotify if you want to hear a discussion of the first book. But we're discussing this week the first three chapters of The Two Towers. Who would like to start?
Yes, I can. We start out with that this is when Boromir is slain in battle.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be doing a lot of comparisons to the movies, of course. And so basically right after Frodo and Sam head to the other side of the river, that is where the book 1 ends, and after that is where book 2 begins.
Mm-hmm.
And he is Aragorn sits on the seat that Frodo sat and almost caught the gaze of Sauron. But he sat in there and saw very little, and ran back, found Boromir almost dying. He was dying, and basically with his last breath pleaded the King of Gondor to return to his people. And then they made their decision, Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn, to go. What do they do? Do they go after the ring bearer, or do they go after Merry and Pippin, who have thus been kidnapped by orcs and goblins? And they
Mm-hmm.
decide, well, we don't want to leave a pair of friends to death and torture, especially
Certain
when the
death
ring
and
bearer is,
torture.
especially when the ring bearer is not alone. So the first two chapters is their adventure across the lands
Mm-hmm.
to find Merry and Pippin, tracking the orcs and the goblins, all the way to Fongorn Forest. And chapter 3 is where we get that same set of events, but from Merry and Pippin's perspective.
Oh, I
So
do love a
actually, not
good POV change.
yeah,
Yeah.
surprisingly, not very much happening. I was kind of like, I was thinking, I guess the movies, because of just lack of time, I was expecting a lot to go on, and surprisingly not. But it was quite a nice slow pace.
Did you learn nothing from the first book? We were 6 chapters in before we even left the Shire.
Well, you never know. Movie to movie, things differ.
Movies, things
Yeah.
differ, but good grief. Um,
I
I
I
felt
still find it.
like. Oh, go ahead, Rusty.
Sorry. I still find it interesting. Like from our last discussion about the first book, how where everything ended. Like in the movies, was at the end of the first movie was where Boromir dies, but he doesn't die in the books till at the start of the second book.
Mm-hmm. But
And
it kind of makes sense a little bit more because the entire trilogy was originally written as one big, huge honker of a tome.
yeah, which that
So,
was a that was one thing I was looking for when I went to get my copy from the library was I actually found two copies. One it started out with like page one on the second book, but I remember at least one of y'all were saying that your copies started at like 403 or 401 or something.
yeah, my
And
copy number wise on the page numbers, it starts at like 413.
yeah, and that's like I found a second copy that it's a lot smaller. It almost looks like a pocketbook kind of, but I can still read it. But this one started out at 404. I was like, I mean, plus it feels it has like a more of the runes to it. I'm like, heck, let's dive all into it. Let's go with the more authentic one.
Well, there you go. Yeah. It's like I felt like the first few chapters where we're following Legolas and Gimli and Aragorn. was pretty much um pretty faithful to the what happened in the movies, and I I feel like a lot of the stuff was cut with Merry and Pippin because I feel like the movies were like more focused on Aragorn and his lot because that's was a little bit more action driven. I think, even though they're literally just running in comparison to Merry and Pippin, who are being dragged around by orcs. I really okay. Tell me if you disagree or not, but I feel like the movie orcs were dumbed down heavily. Like the orcs felt like a bunch of lumbering henchmen in the movies. These in the book feel more like hired mercenaries. They feel a little bit more competent, if that makes sense.
Intelligent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think even Mary or Pippin even make a comment like that or the book itself makes a comment that the orcs seem more like they can speak intelligently. So it's like they comment on how they have an intelligence to them. Like they're not just lumbering golems, basically.
Yeah, well, like the one thing that I mainly stuck out to me as um in the movies, the reason why um they started killing each other was because they were arguing over food, a very
Mhm.
base necessity for life. Versus in the books, the whole reason why they started arguing is because there's actually two different groups of orcs. There's uh, um the northern orcs, and then there's the ones from Isengard. Basically, the Sauron and the
Sauron.
Saruman. Sauron. There's too many S names. Anyway, uh, there's the Saruman and the Sauron groups, and they were arguing about which way they should go to get back to where they need to go, and if they're going to be dividing up into parties and all that stuff. And then there's also the arguing over the prisoners. I felt like there was like that actually sounds like something a troop of competent things would be arguing about, basically tactics and transportation issues versus
Yeah.
we haven't had meats for several days. Let's basically lop off the legs of the hobbits and eat that.
Yeah, I found very interesting how part of the company were the goblins that were in Moria and they wanted revenge.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of interesting to see them be included in the party.
Yeah, it's like the thing. Okay, so a lot of people, this modern day stuff now, will argue. I was like, oh, you made this race of creatures that are at the bare necessity evil, and but like they also in the movies they're heavily dumbed down to basically a shambling horde with pointy sticks.
Hmm.
And then like the forces of Moria, at least from what I remember from the third movie, were the more higher up ones was actually the men who had come and were working under the Dark Lord. In comparison to what actually Tolkien wrote, which is uh communities of these different creatures, but then like their moral standings are drastically different from everyone else, therefore making them evil in the sense because higher beings and all that stuff. If that makes
Yeah.
if I'm rambling, please tell me to shut up.
No. Yeah, the interactions between them were very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I found, I found them to be more like an actual race rather than a force of nature. Because I think
Yeah,
that's kind of what the movies boiled them down to, was just some big force that just needed to be stopped.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
instead you're like, oh, they're speaking English basically, because there's two different dialects from, the Moria orcs and the Isengard Urkai, and so they don't understand each other, so they just speak, English
common.
basically. Yeah, common. And I was like, well, that kind of is interesting, kind of makes them more believable,
Mm-hmm.
more alive.
It
More
gives them
well
more
rounded.
personality.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And we have like basically, we actually get two named ones, one from each camp. We have Grishnuk, who worked for Sauron, and then what was his name? Ugluk, which worked for Saruman.
I think, aren't they
And
both leaders of each respective band of orc
I wouldn't.
and goblin?
I
I,
think I thought so.
I think both of these were actually orcs.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Like,
but like weren't they leaders of like each tribe of orc that was traveling together?
well, from my understanding, Grishnuk was kind of like a spy master for Sauron, and then the other guy was like the head of Saruman's forces, which he sent out from Isengard to find the hobbits. Because he wants to get his hands on the ring so that he has some leverage with Sauron.
Hmm.
That's at least my understanding.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Because, like, I felt like, because Merry and Pippin is like, again, movies, their section got drastically cut for time. Because of course, that also kind of makes sense because we can't have basically flashbacks within a movie because unless you're doing a movie like that, it doesn't really work for long periods of time. You kind of lose the flow of the narrative if you do. Okay, here's what happened for 4 days, and let's rewind and watch it again, but from someone else's perspective.
Yeah,
But
I, that could also get really, really boring after a while.
yeah, it's like unless it's
Yeah.
like because in the movies we have like flashes of what happened when Aragorn is digging through the battle between the orcs and the riders of Rohan. We're getting flashes
Right.
of what happened versus Merry and Pippin's full on 4 day trip with the orcs.
Hmm.
And I said this in the first book's discussion, I'll say it again. They turned two relatively competent and much deeper characters into comic relief and then threw them into hazardous situations.
Yeah.
Particularly
And
for Pippin.
I know, Pippin got nuked. Like, Pippin was kind of carrying it this, like, chapter 3. Because
Yeah.
Mary, for like half of it, he was unconscious. He got knocked in the head pretty good.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Versus Pippin, who was just like awake and having to deal with these people and was able
Have,
to
having to
work
formulate
his
plans and
formulate plans, actually cut his bindings around his hands, and then wandering around for 2 additional days with basically fake hand restraints on. He also made a run for it at one point to drop off to like make it easier for Aragorn to basically find a proof of life
Yeah.
because they kind of figured
Which
that
it,
that's where they went, just it didn't know they were alive or dead yet.
yeah, and Pippin was like even wondering like, why am I doing this? Nobody's coming to find us. They probably went with Frodo at this point. It's like,
Oh, Pippin, you
uh,
have more faith in Strider.
yeah, because going back to like the chapter one between having to go after Frodo or go after Merry and Pippin. At least Frodo and Sam have are still like free agents. Like they're still in control of their destiny for the most part. Merry and Pippin are like literally tied down, going to a fate possibly worse than death.
Mm-hmm. That they are.
I still find it funny. Like we're always talking about how a lot of things were cut in the book, and it's like, yeah, the movie that was 4 hours long, just the second movie alone being 4 hours long, was still heavily cut from the
It
book. Or
was.
Hmm.
It's like the first movie we discussed heavily what was cut, which was a good chunk of the first half. Because they cut out the entirety of Tom Bombadil and we were robbed!
yeah, that we were.
If you have not read the physical copies of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, do it. Tom Bombadil is worth the price of admission.
It's like the Lord of the Rings books almost need to be like a full length multi-season series in order to
Yes.
get all we can get out of it.
Yeah, although I don't trust Hollywood or basically anyone nowadays to
Oh,
do Lord
absolutely
of the
not.
Rings justice. Like,
Yeah.
do we
Absolutely
need to
not.
discuss the Rings of Power that no one wants to touch with the 10-foot pole? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
No, it's like with what we got from the movies, it's like I'm happy with. It's just that I'm glad that we're getting more from the books now too.
The movies are a delightful delve into skimming the top of the Lord of the Rings world. And that's saying a lot, seeing fact the theatrical cuts would take you over 9 hours to watch. That is just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. The books are where it's at. And I can still find that kind of hilarious, seeing fact they tried to do the same thing with The Hobbit, but The Hobbit, that could easily have been one book. That could have easily been one movie.
Yeah.
And they divided into three and added stuff in.
Well, like I think my problem is the fact that we had very little screen time with Bjorn, and like there was some aspects that were cut short. And then like
Yes.
I don't mind the Radagast parts because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he is mentioned, and so it's kind of nice to see him and kind of fun to see where Sauron came from and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't mind the additions, but there was some stuff that was just taken away or just kind of not very well fleshed out and whatnot.
Well, like, I would have taken more Bjorn content and they had just dropped the elf dwarf love subplot.
Oh goodness, I know.
That was completely unnecessary. I agree. Radagast the Brown showing up, I'm perfectly fine with that. The lady elf who just spawned into existence because someone's like, we need a female quota. And there's no romance in this book. We need to fix that. I'm just like, no, you don't need to fix that. This is Tolkien. You do not fix Tolkien.
You do not mess with perfection.
This side of eternity, this is probably the closest you're going to get aside from the actual Bible.
Pretty much.
which is funny to hear, considering the author was heavily Christian too.
Yeah, you gotta love Christian fantasy. It's so fun.
It is.
Yeah, there wasn't, in terms of like heavy discussion, there not incredibly much happened as of yet. We just basically barely got started, and so it's
Yeah, it's like we basically have an elf, a man, and a dwarf running for 4 days, meeting a group of riders from Rohan, having a discussion with them being impressed of how far they ran in 4 days, and figuring out that they took on a band of orcs by themselves, and then them getting Lint, 3 horses, Gimli throwing a fit because he doesn't want to be on a horse. Legolas is just like, dude, you're gonna ride with me. It's cool. And then they get to the where the Rohans had destroyed the orc band, and they're trying to figure out what happened to the hobbits. And then they make camp, and then a old guy shows up wearing a hat and a wizard and a robe, and then they figure out the horses are missing, and they're freaking out because they think that's Saruman had shown up. But Aragorn's just like, he had a hat on, not a hood. What are we talking about? And then flashback to toward the hobbits, and then absolute insanity.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
That
Yeah,
pretty much sums it all up.
I think this is the shortest episode we've had in a while. Okay,
Which
do
I,
we want? Anyway, go ahead.
which
I mean,
I will say it's like as slow as this is for this chapter. At least we got through the running part in 4 chapters instead of 6 this time. So progress?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Oh, you gotta remember this was a this is technically the middle of the actual story, so we are like in the main narrative flow of the thing. Still,
True.
Tolkien, I can read him describing a leaf for 4 pages. It's not a drain on my psyche. It's actually quite enjoyable.
yeah, I will say
Yeah,
for what we're saying, I actually did enjoy. I actually enjoyed Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli sections more than Merry and Pippin. Just I don't know. It was very. It felt like they were on this jaunt together. French, the friends starting out. I know it's in the middle of the whole saga, but you know, kind of starting out and describing where the lands around them and whatnot. I actually enjoyed those two pet chapters very much.
Mm-hmm. It's like I enjoy that. I am a Hobbit girl. I love me the Hobbits, and I was really curious on how they were going to get away from the orcs. Like I knew the general gist of it, but also I knew Hollywood cut shit. But I can
yeah.
see why they cut it in this way. It's like it's yeah. But I'm enjoying the continued friendship of Legolas and Gimli, and I look forward to when Gandalf shows back up, and we get to the king at Rohan, the king of Rohan. I want to see. Oh, what was that guy's name? Wormtongue.
Grima Wormtongue.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry. It's like I was about to say Wormtail, and I was like, no, that's the wrong franchise. But it was Worm something. Okay, for the next bit of reading, do we want to do 2 chapters or 3?
How long are the chapters?
To chapter 6, which would be 2 chapters, it's roughly just shy of 50 pages, but if we go to the next chapter, it's 80.
I don't have my book on me. What what are the names of the chapters that might help? Like
Chapter
if there's a lot.
4 is Treebeard. Chapter
Okay.
5 is the White Rider. So that's probably
Okay.
I wonder who
Annabelle.
that could be.
yeah. And then chapter 6 is the King of the Golden Hall.
So
So,
probably
and then
Cade.
after that will be Helm's Deep.
I'd say 3 sounds like a lot of story progression.
That it does.
So I think it
So,
might be good for there'll be a lot for us to talk about.
okay, so we'll
All
read
right.
chapters 4, 5, and 6, stopping at chapter 7.
Yay.
All
That
right.
sounds like a plan. Bookmark in, and I'll do the actual post right here in a second. But that's going to be it for our discussion. Kind of a short one, but again, basically it was 4 days done by two different perspectives, and a lot of orcs died in the process, which we are glad for because they were going to hurt people.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were
pretty
gonna
much.
hurt. They were gonna hurt our two hobbits. It's
They
like
were going
we
to
can't
hurt the
have that.
hobbits. We can't have that. We can't have the hobbits being hurt. Anyway, thank you all for joining me, and we will be back next week with a lot more story progression, hopefully. And if you would like to join us in our discussion, please, by all means, go to your local library, get out the Libby app, or go to a local bookstore and get you this copy because everyone needs a copy of the trilogy.
Yes.
Okay, I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye!
Bye, y'all.
Bye.